Welcome back to the KRON 4 Morning News. The time is 5:44, and we have a hot spot in Concord, 242 southbound. 3 of the 4 lanes here are blocked by an overturned big rig that was carrying 12 crushed automobiles on their way to salvage. Don't know if these were cash for clunker cars or not, but nevertheless, it's created a real mess for the freeway and for the crews that are responding, trying to clear the roadway. They've got a forklift and a low truck heading out there, what's called a low boy, so that they can load these cars that are stacked along the road shoulder onto it. Then they've got to right the big rig, and traffic is already backing up here westbound 4 to southbound Highway 242. So let's back up the maps and talk about how you can get around the problem. Right now, we're already starting to see the heavy traffic coming out of Antioch. So from Antioch, I'd probably jump onto Kirker Pass Road in order to bail out and come in the back door that way. If you don't take Kirker Pass Road, you can take Bailey Road. That'll get you there. You can also take Willow Pass Road and come through the back door. You can even take Port Chicago Highway if you get that close, though traffic will probably back up well beyond the Port Chicago Highway exit. And if you can get through the backup, you can actually continue right out to Highway 680 and then make the turn onto southbound 680 from there. So again, big problems. KRON 4's Yolia Seb has just arrived on scene and is setting up her shot. She said traffic was even heavy in the northbound direction on Highway 242, trying to get up past the scene. All right, no problem reported for the Peninsula commute. James.
All right, George, thank you much. 5:46 is the time. And again, our top story this morning, in case you haven't heard, Massachusetts Senator Ted Kennedy has died at the age of 77. He passed late last night at his vacation home here in Hyannisport, Massachusetts. This is the live camera now showing you the driveway that leads to their vacation home. Maybe this morning we'll get a comment from a family member that'll come out here to the cameras. We'll let you know if that happens. We're also expecting the president to make some statements this morning. He's been scheduled to come out and talk at 5:30, although we're hearing from the White House now. They're pushing that timeline back to about 6 o'clock or so this morning, so we're keeping an eye on that. But Senator Kennedy, dead at the age of 77 this morning, finally dying to brain cancer. He'd been battling it for a little more than a year now, and serving in the Senate for a very long time. The Lion of the Senate, served for nearly 50 years. In fact, he's only one of 6 senators in all of American history to serve in the U.S. Senate for more than 40 years. So obviously impacting and affecting a lot of people this morning, waking up and reacting to that news. Share your comments with us if you'd like. We've got multiple avenues for you to send in your comments. Here's one from the governor this morning, releasing this statement just moments after news of Senator Kennedy's death. He says, Teddy taught us all that public service isn't a hobby or even an occupation, but a way of life, and his legacy will live on. And send us your thoughts this morning. How did the senator affect you, or just what are your impressions this morning? We've had a few viewers already write in. We've got one person tweeting this morning, I never was a huge fan of him or his politics, but he was truly one of the great American senators. Rest in peace. So that comment coming in from a KRON 4 viewer this morning. You can send us tweets. Our account there is at KRON 4 News. You can also visit our fan page on Facebook, and you can send us emails as well at breakingnews@kron4.com. Or also, we've got the story on our website. You can leave your comment there as well. We'll incorporate some of those comments throughout our broadcast this morning. At 5:48, though, let's get over to the weather desk. Drew Harmon standing by with a look at your Wednesday morning forecast, and things beginning to warm up today. Good morning, Drew.
Good morning, James. Yes, we're going to continue to see a warming trend starting today and heading towards the weekend. We're going to see the beginning of a nice warm weekend to wrap up the last weekend in August. But right now we'll see things cooling off just a bit as we head into next week, but a pleasant way to spend this weekend. James?
All right, Drew, thank you much. And here at 5:50, a quick update out of the Southland here, where wildfires continue to rage in the Angeles National Forest. It's about 10% contained, this wildfire, and you see these live aerial pictures courtesy of KTLA TV. The fire has forced the evacuations, we understand, from the rugged mountain area northwest, or northeast, I should say, of downtown Los Angeles. About 600 or so firefighters currently at the scene battling this fire, which at this point has burned about 250 acres. The National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning for the area. That warning is scheduled to go into effect at 6 o'clock this morning and last until 9 p.m. Friday. So that is not good news for firefighters. They're going to be contending with high winds, low humidities, and extremely hot temperatures, a combination you do not want to be dealing with when you're fighting wildfires like this. We'll be following this story, too, as it develops, and we're also looking at live pictures now from Hyannisport, Massachusetts. The vacation home of the Kennedy family. Senator Ted Kennedy died there late last night. finally succumbing to his year-long battle with brain cancer. More on that story coming up throughout the morning. We'll be right back. And we're back. 5:55 is the time. And again, our top story this morning, news that Senator Ted Kennedy died overnight at the age of 77. He'd been battling brain cancer for about a year now and finally succumbed to his condition late last night. Word coming out and reaction, too, coming out from all quarters this morning. We've heard from the governor already of California. We've heard from President Barack Obama. In fact, the president expected to make some live comments as well at about 6 o'clock or so. So we're keeping an eye on that. But here are some images here on your screen. I should explain them. On the left-hand side, the driveway that leads to the vacation home there in Hyannisport, Massachusetts, where Ted Kennedy died overnight. On the right-hand side, a shot from the water, a better shot of the actual home itself there, the Kennedy compound, as it's been called there in Hyannisport. So that's the news this morning. Of course, Ted Kennedy had been around for decades, one of the longest-serving senators here. He's only one of 6 senators in all of American history that served there in the U.S. Senate for more than 40 years. His legacy there, nearly 50 years in length, and he championed a number of causes during that time: civil rights, education, and more recently, healthcare really has jumped to the forefront here as we've been having healthcare reform debates. And he had commented to family and friends here in the last few months that he really was sorry he wasn't there at the Capitol there debating healthcare reform with his fellow senators and lawmakers. But that's the news this morning. Everybody reacting. We'll have more on this coming up in just a bit, so stay with us here as the KRON 4 Morning News continues.
If it's a big story,
the suspect set off 2 pipe bombs.
Count on KRON 4 to deliver big coverage.
KRON 4, the first cameras inside the school this morning.
Every newscast, every day. KRON 4, the Bay Area's news station.